Hare Krishna, Namaste. In the morning, I took a walk through the streets. It is nice to get fresh air in the morning and nice to see how the city is active. People are opening the shop, many are driving to their work, the streets are being cleaned, some of them are going to the temple, and kids are going to the school. As I was walking, I came across a nearby school. I stood across the school entrance on a cross street, and I was just simply watching how the parents were dropping off their kids near the entrance, and the kids with their loaded school backpack entering through the school gates as it was time for the school to close their gate. As I was watching, I remembered Arjuna's description in chapter 11. Yata nadina bhagavambuvegaha samudrameva vimuka vitavanti tata tavami naralokavira vishanti vaktrani avivajvalanti. As the many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter into your blazing mouths. Remembering these verses, I got inspired to capture a short video of this scene that was happening in front of the school. Turned on my camera, started capturing the video. As I was taking the video, a minute or two later, someone from back of me was tapping gently on my shoulder. Then I paused the recording and turned back. It was one of the school security watchmen. He asked me, "Sir, what are you doing here?" Firstly, I didn't like that question, but I answered, "I'm taking a video." He asked, "Why?" Now my ego was tapped, not my shoulder. I thought, who is he to ask me such questions? It was none of his business. But before I could react to that question, that person said, "You can't do that, sir." With annoyed face, I said, "Why? It's my choice. This is a public place, and this is my camera. I can do whatever I want." No one questioned me when I took pictures in other places. I took pictures of parks, beaches, temples, many other places. So what is your problem? That person then responded patiently with respect, "Sir, what you are saying sounds right, that this place is public place. You are not inside of our school property. The camera is yours, not ours, and it is your choice what you want to do here with your camera. Generally, there shouldn't be any objections in what you're doing. But sir, public place doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Your camera doesn't mean that you can shoot everywhere, everything and anything that you like. No one questioned you earlier when you took videos in other places doesn't mean that no one can stop you from doing the same in certain places. Lastly, yes, it is your choice, but doesn't mean you can choose to do anything that you like without considering the place and people." Then he also continued saying, "This is school area, and unless you have our permission, you cannot shoot our school and our children. I am sure you will not allow someone to take a video of yours when you were not informed in first place. Am I right?" Then I simply turned on the camera, didn't want to get into further arguments and fights. Then we both walked in opposite direction. As I continued my walking through the streets, I was contemplating on what had happened. This time I was little settled than before. Then I came to an understanding what that person said seems right. I would not let anyone take a photo or video of mine unless I give them the permission. When I went to the temple, I was able to take as many photos as I could, but only outside of the temple. But I was prohibited to do the same inside the temple. And then I also was remembering in immigration, while I was traveling, I was prohibited to take photos and videos. And also in many government offices, taking photos and videos are not allowed. Then I realized that the freedom that I have is actually quite restricted. Just because I am a citizen of the country, just because I have things with me, just because I have a desire to do something, not necessarily I can do whatever I wanted. Sometimes we try to ignore the rules and try to do things what we wanted, thinking we are smarter, but less we know there are someone watching us, our actions. In fact, I would like to share another incident happened in my life 20 years back. When I was working in Houston, one of my friend took a picture of mine along with a tall building which was few miles away from where we were. He was taking photos in a different angles but keeping that tall building as background. To our surprise, after 2 or 3 months later, a couple of police officers came to my friend and investigated on why he was taking photos over there in different angles. By the way, this was somewhere around 2001, later part of 2001 or early 2002. That is right after the attack of World Trade Center, the Twin Towers in New York. My friend had to go through explaining and answering many questions. Anyways, the point here is there are people always constantly watching us. Even if it is not physical person, the devatas in different ways and forms, they are constantly watching us. If not devatas, the Paramatma within our heart is always there. He is 24/7, 365 days, always watching our thoughts, speech and action. The point that I want to bring to surface here is that we think we have freedom and we have necessary tools and things under our command, but our freedom is fully dependent within the constitution of the government. Just because we are citizen doesn't mean we can do anything in the public. Just because we have things like car, phone, money, etc., we can't use them as we wish. As long as we exercise our freedom within the given independence, we can be happy and also others can be happy. If we go beyond that given freedom, then it is going to be problematic to us and we are creating problems to others as well. For example, I got my driver's license, but I have to still follow the rules of the road and respect the other drivers. Just because I got the license doesn't mean that the DMV office, license office, approves us to drive however we want, wherever we want. There's always restriction in the speed. There's always restriction how to turn, how to drive through the streets, that we have to follow the signals. We never heard a police officer rewarding someone who follows the rules and regulations of driving. But we know that every single person who doesn't follow the rules and regulation of the road while driving, when caught, gets ticket. At that time, we cannot ask the police officer, all these years, I was following everything perfectly. Not one single time you stopped me and awarded me for my good driving. But I committed just one mistake today, but you're punishing me for that. No one can ask or even think that this is a valid question. So, our freedom is completely based on the limit that was set by the government. In other words, our freedom depends on the independence given by the government. Saying the same differently, we are dependent on the laws of the government and we are independent within the constitution of the government. That means our freedom is conditioned, not unconditional. This is the same principle when it comes to religion, spirituality. Also, we are born into this world. We are given with certain tools like our body, senses, mind, etc. Just because we have these things doesn't mean we can use them however we want. We must use them appropriately for the benefit of our self, Atma. We are given license to drive thinking that we will follow the rules and regulation. If we don't, then the license will be revoked. We are given job in a company thinking that we'll follow the policies of the company. If we don't, we'll be taken out of the job. Likewise, the facilities that are given to us was under the condition that we will use it appropriately for the progression of the self, thinking that we will use them correctly in the service of God. But if we use them just for our selfish reasons, then we are the lawbreakers. That means we have to face the consequences of our action. We need to know that we are fully dependent on the laws of the Lord. Our independence is not a privilege to do anything and everything beyond the laws of the Lord. I can't use the inbuilt camera, that is my eyes, to see anything and everything. I can't use my audio system, that is the inbuilt mouth, to speak and taste anything and everything. I can't use the receiver, my ears, to hear anything and everything. I can't use the odometer, which is my nose, to smell anything and everything. I can't use my touch sensor, that is my skin, to do anything and everything. If we want to be happy in this world, we better abide the laws of the Lord by following His instructions that's given in Bhagavad Gita. The freedom that we have is good enough for us to be happy in this world. So let's try to simply stay within that free zone given to us. Let's follow the laws of God so we can be happy here in this world and happy in the next world as well. If we fail, then we will neither be happy in this place or anywhere else. Thanks to the school watchman for reminding me on these important principles. Now I know I have to be very careful how to be in the public, how to use things, though it may belong to me, appropriately. Krishna has given us this body, senses, mind, etc. not to use however we want, but to use in His service, to elevate, uplift our consciousness. Like how people will do anything if there is no restriction is put within the given freedom. Likewise, we will also tend to do anything if our freedoms were not restricted by Krishna. Let's wisely make our choices with the given freedom to progress spiritually. If we fail to do so, then we are simply misusing the freedom and digging our own pit to make a spiritual suicide. Thank you. Hare Krishna.